Hi,
Hey,
Maria.
Hi.
sorry I'm running behind.
No worries.
Nah, you're good.
Your makeup looks really good.
Oh, thank you. I only did my eyes today, and that was pretty much it. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not gonna do anything else today. Yeah, and then my roommate, she was procrastinating. She didn't want to do her homework, so she was like, I'm gonna do your hair, and I was like, okay.
Uh,
There you go.
I miss that kind of stuff. Being married neglects you from that.
I mean, unless he decides to be a hairdresser, I mean, you could always have that too. So
That's true. That's very
Probably
true.
won't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going into physical therapy. I feel like it would be like a huge career shift for him to like I want to be a barber now.
The quarter life crisis.
Yes, yes. Should have put that on our ARS chart.
I mean, it could be like a retirement job too.
Yeah.
Cute when they're like in their 70s or 80s and he's like doing your hair.
Yeah,
That'd be adorable.
Oh,
definitely.
okay. So I guess we can each just take turns sharing our screen.
Okay.
And I can take the notes. So if you guys just want to like take a screenshot of your screen with like everything done that you guys did before this, then you can email it to me and I have to copy and paste it onto the Word document.
Okay. So I'm gonna be honest. I have a Google Chromebook, and it doesn't allow me to do a lot on Google Earth. So I
Okay.
don't have a screenshot yet, because I have to go onto campus to do that, and I haven't had time on campus. So I don't have the screenshot labeled, but I can pull up what my screenshot will be of, and then I can
Okay.
talk to you about it.
Or even if you, I don't know what you did it on. I mean, I did mine on Google Draw and I just downloaded it.
Down.
But don't worry about it. Just, yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
And then whatever we're talking about in comments we make on each other's, you're supposed to just record that as well. So I'll just do that.
Okay. Is it cool if I go last?
Yeah, no problem. I can go I can go first. Yeah. Oops. So cool. Okay, this is mine. Hopefully it is. So I did my GeoJournal on, I don't even know how to say it properly. It probably is French, but in my head I keep on calling it Jeffrey Peak, which it's not, because it's obviously spelled Joffre Peak. But this is a national park. It's a like Joffre whatever national park. It's in like southern British Columbia near Vancouver, but around the area is called Squamish, and it's like super popular for people who just love the outdoors. I have my mom's cousin and her husband live there, and they just are always outside with their dog. But everyone just loves the outdoors, and there's a lot of just people who love the mountains, that explore mountains, mountaineers who explore the area. And there was a double mountain slide on this area. The first one, I just kind of highlighted the first one. It mostly fell from like this area, but I wanted to get like the elevation just right, which I think helped in this elevation profile a lot because you get to see like the scarp where it really fell from. And then you can see like the earth flow here, and the second one fell from right here. It didn't fall in the middle right here, but yeah. Anyways, so I have like a south profile, which was so hard in Google Earth because there's so many mountains. It's like, that's a peak, that's a peak, that's a peak. And it's just like crazy topography there. As you can see here in this picture, it's just all peaks and big mountain range.
Yeah.
But it was it was cool to look at this though, because I was able to see, like, you can see the earth flow, and there have been, I think, a few landslides in the past, and that's why, like, you can see that this is obviously not covered by, like, no snow, first of all, but also, like, no greenery at all. And then there's the foot of it that like falls into the valley, and it doesn't go all the way to the bottom because it's just like a small valley that goes up into another peak, but there's a road that goes right through there, kind of a trail, not like a really common road that's on the other side of the mountain face, but there's like off-road there. But yeah, so there's the scarp there, which is kind of like right here. This block right here is like a different mountain just on the other side of it. It looks like it's part of it, but it's not. It's kind of like this thing, but facing the other way. But yeah, the scarp like right here. And then the traverse ridges, and those are the parts where it kind of like, there's like a scarp and it goes out and it kind of stops and then more falls, and then they're like sticky outy parts, I guess, and the earth flow. I don't know. Any comments?
I really like that, the like cross section of it. It looks really good.
Yeah, I finally figured out how to do this, because with that oceans one, the tectonic, the ridge that we had to do, the oceanic ridge, I totally failed at that. And he's like, yeah, it looks like you had some trouble. I was like, yep, I did. Thanks for giving me points anyways.
I actually went onto YouTube to Google this one guy to watch him like show us how to do it step by step. That's what I did.
And then
Like at first I was just like, okay, cool, good enough. I drew a line and that's it. And I'm like, now what? But then I was like, that's probably not good enough because I was like already struggling in this class, and I was like, I should probably put a little bit more effort in. But yeah, there's that. So
nice. Yeah, I only just realized it, and I feel really bad because he's a really good professor, honestly. Like, he's awesome with his announcements and everything. And I finally watched through, like, usually I would just like skip through it to see if he's showing anything really important, like, oh, an exam, okay. But he actually like walked through this whole thing in this week's announcements and like showed you how to do this on like a Google Earth thing video. And I was like, I'm a lucky student.
Really?
I should have just watched it.
I've watched some of the videos. I haven't watched all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't watch this week's one, so that's good to know.
There's just so much information to go through, so I feel bad, but I don't really like go through like more than half of the stuff that I usually like.
Yeah.
Which is pretty bad, but then, yeah.
I get it though.
I'm like, yeah, so like the one thing that I chose and picked that was supposed to be in Idaho, it's probably not the best thing to do, but it's like
I gotta type out your guys' comments.
Most recent, so like I'm still looking for that place actually. Like I'm trying to figure out which place is actually most likely where they actually had that kind of like mudslide thing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done it, but like based on like your picture, if I actually had to do mountains like that, I think it would like I wouldn't be able to actually pick out like the areas at all because like it's just so much to look at right now.
So what was like an easy part for me was seeing just like look at first. I had to figure out what side of this whole mountain range the thing was on, because I was looking
Right.
at it and I was just like, uh, it does not look like the pictures that were taken from like a road by people that I found in the news article at all. So I had to like look around, and then I finally found it, like what side of it was and everything, and that was helpful. And then I looked for areas where there had been like mass movement,
Mhm.
like lack of vegetation or like dead trees can be helpful, especially if you're doing a mudslide in Idaho, like dead trees, um, stuff like that. And then the article kind of laid out, like it showed a photo of um, the mass that had fallen down, and it was like the scarp, which was cool. And so then once I kind of like figured out the trail of it, um, and really you can kind of just see how it's moving along, and it helps that's a snowy peak because the snow naturally falls that way on top of it.
Yeah.
But then when I did the cross section with the elevation, I could tell like, oh, that big dip right there is definitely the scarp. That's like the piece of land that moved. And then this like gentle slope is the earth flow, which would be this right here.
Yeah.
How could you
And
tell
then
that it was a scarp again?
the scarp, it was like the dip. Like it's you have the highest elevation, and then it'll suddenly fall.
It's like a little scoop, right?
Yeah, like kind of. That's how I thought of it. It's just kind of like a little scoop. And then the earth flow will be like usually the steady thing, I think.
Right.
I don't even know if we had to put transverse ridges in there, but I just remembered it from my other geology class. I was like, oh yeah, transverse ridges. I'll put that in. Yeah, and then the foot of it.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll just put down that you guys said something about. Oh,
Scarf. It's so like it's really difficult for me because I'm like from like a high like bird's eye view, everything looks flat generally, and then like there's so many surrounding areas along it. So like farm areas, and I'm just kind of like, how the hell do you actually manage to actually have a landslide if the whole area looks like that? But I might have to look for a different location too if I can't find anything significant here. It's just right along the river as well.
those are somebody for their like GeoJournal, the one that they did, it was in, I wonder if it was the one that you might have done too, Elisha, but it was in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mudslide that went onto a road, and then right next to on the other side of the road, there's a river.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when you did. Okay. So the girl that did it, she said, and this is like, I'm like, yeah, I feel like that would be like a really good way to go, obviously, because it was triggered. Like, it was triggered by like heavy rainfall, so saturated sediment, and it all washed down. And so her mitigation idea was irrigation. I'm like, yeah, that, like, I would honestly think of that first too. But then as I was thinking about it more, I was like, well, what about like the river right next to it? Like, you have to come up with a really, I feel like it would be it'd have to be like a complex irrigation system because there's a river right there. And if that area is has like common heavy rainfall, then if you have irrigation probably going into the river, because usually it goes under the road the other side, then the river could flood.
Well, if in that case, then there'd be a certain floodplain that during that period of time, because normally, floodplains actually because you talk about how you talk about irrigation, but that usually happens like during like say in this Idaho area, it's probably like post winter time, so it's like usually spring when everything melts. So then like when that happens, the river floods. And there's a certain extent which is called the floodplain, where everything overflows from what the normal path that the river takes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wouldn't necessarily think that that would cause a landslide unless it's like at the head of the river, like at some base of like a mountain or something, where it like causes to like bring everything down from there.
Well, I was just thinking, like the river itself. Like if you have an irrigation system draining water from that hillside, probably going, like it'd have to be going towards the river and into the river and avoid the road. I'm wondering if there was really heavy rainfall and like, okay, now we have our irrigation system and all that water was draining into the river, because just from the picture I saw, it looked like a really like narrow area because they had cut into the hillside with the road and then like literally maybe like 10 feet away from the road, it looked like the river was there. And then it kind of looked like, oh, all of a sudden it kind of goes up and there's like a shorter hill, but a hill with like trees and all this vegetation.
Right.
I don't know, it didn't look like there was a lot of area for the river to go out. I didn't look at the picture that long though, so maybe not.
It was like from the article that I was reading, it was like between these two places, and there's like a significant amount of like farmland in between, like in the hillside that they cut out from for farmland, and then in between like for the road. So I'm just trying to like figure out where exactly that's happening, but that's gonna take a while, so I still haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, no worries. It's so like
other than that, once I have it figured out, I can just like quickly do that and label it. So
yeah, no worries. Landslides to me are just like are so interesting. Like this one that I did, it was caused by like a suddenly really hot week that melted the permafrost.
What?
Because this is like mountaineers and like country skiers, cross country skiers and everything. They all like everyone goes and hikes this area. But it was during, was it March or May? I think May maybe, where it's usually not as busy because it's either super busy during the middle of winter months, like around Christmas time, or it gets really, really busy in the summer, June and later. So like it happened at a time like nobody got injured. Everyone was fine, which is insane because like so many people go on this mountain.
Well, that's only during like peak winter season, right?
Yeah, but also like it's not a really high mountain. Like this whole, like the distance from the elevation, like in that cross-section elevation grid, the whole distance is only 3.57 kilometers.
Right.
Which isn't far. And that's not even, it's only, its height is its elevation is 2.7 kilometers. So I don't know. I feel like if it's a super common area, people can dig up some money and do stuff. Because it's run by like the national park rangers and everything, so there's like national funds that can go into that.
Yeah.
Because it's hard because a lot of times in Idaho, in smaller communities, it's like the community, like the county or the municipality, I feel like, are in charge because landslides don't always happen in like national parks.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's crazy to think about how it just thawed so quickly that there was just all of a sudden mass wasting that happened.
Yeah.
Like,
it was like a solid week of like strangely hot weather and they weren't expecting it.
So because it was hot, were more people, do you think, hiking and stuff?
No. just because it wasn't a super common month. So I can pull up the pictures of what it looked like right before, because like people still travel on the road and travel on the trails. They don't always climb the peak.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of people like hang out below it.
Mm-hmm.
And cool. Okay, here's my post. So this is what it looked like after. And these are like the two areas. So they thought that this would be the area that would fall too, like a third. They were like watching for that part of the peak to fall as well. But these two main areas fell. The green one is the first one, red one is the second one. And that's what it looked like after.
Wow.
And then they have like the path there all the way down, which looks so crazy. Like that does look like a crazy long distance when you look at it like that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So to tell you guys the truth, the the image that I found actually is dated before this happened, but was also cool for me because I could tell that a landslide had happened there before.
Really?
Well, because you can totally see. So I just kind of went with it and labeled with it. It's this whole thing of like the elevation thing probably isn't as intense as it would be. That's probably after like a few years of erosion, snow melt, and everything. But you can still totally see it with like that earth flow and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could see that a landslide had happened there before,
Yeah.
which was cool. And I started typing out a message to our professor, and then I stopped. I was like, I don't want to go through the extra. Like, oh, should I just find another one? No, I didn't want to go through that.
No, I think it's still appropriate because I feel like you still like got the content that he was like looking for, you know?
Yeah.
Like you understand the purpose of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool. That was interesting.
I'm still trying to figure out where it is.
You're good.
Are you looking for your screenshot?
No, it's not from my screenshot. Like, because it's along a highway, and it's like in between these two towns or something like that. But then when you look at it, it doesn't seem like it's supposed to be like at that location.
Oh wait, you might be talking about the same one that I did.
Really?
Is it between Kamaya and Orofino?
No, I'm doing the one between Weiser and Planet.
Oh, okay.
But it's on Highway 95.
Oh, mine shut down Highway 12.
Yeah, because it's like the location's like right on the border to like Oregon and Washington. But it's like between milepost 140 and 160. But then I don't know if like it's possible to find that on Google Earth.
Yeah. I can go next if you want. While you're looking. So here, I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Can you see my screen?
Mhm.
Okay. So, can you see my mouse as well?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So, this was the map that I was going off of what it says. Where did that come from? Okay. So this was where it was. It was right in between these two places. But when I look on Google Earth for it, it just doesn't, like, I can't find Highway 12, but like this right here is a river, and I can see what this looks like landslide, like this looks like the path that it took down. Doesn't it? Doesn't it to y'all? Does it look like
Or
it?
do you see that where it says tramway in Clearwater River, and then up from it there's that block that looks like there's a place, and then above it, is that it?
Here?
Like if you're on the block, okay, and then move your mouse to the right a bit, yeah, right there, and then straight up.
Oh!
Does that look like it? Maybe? I mean, it all looks like it's had landslide.
This kind of does.
Like, it looks like it, honestly, I bet if you zoom way, way out, it looks like a huge landslide just because there's so many.
Yeah, because if you look at it, so it's like the elevation over here is like 800 meters.
Mhm.
And then as you come down this side of, of this like mountain hill, it just drops. It just continues to drop.
Oh,
Really,
okay.
so like you can tell that this is like the side of some sort of mountain, and it looks like it would have vegetation if it weren't for all of that movement that happened. Yeah. It also, so like what happened when it like did like a landslide over Highway 12. Also, I tried to get Highway 12 up on the labels, but I'm working off of the internet, not like actual Google Earth, and I don't know, it doesn't want to work. But it happened because it like downpoured. It just really, really heavy rain, and the heavy rain like loosened up the sediment and like saturated the soil, and so all of the particles loosened up and they just like slid down. And so yeah, so that was the trigger of it. And I really want to say that I feel like, because here, I'll show you this picture. Okay, yeah. It was like flooding hardcore.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
That's
like,
so sad.
and you can also see that it's like farmlands and stuff over here, and that's what you can like, this area is like farmlands and stuff.
And I feel like that's one of the problems with farmland. Like, not necessarily a problem, but when you are like in a hilly area farming a lot, and especially like in Idaho with what they farm, I feel like the ground just becomes a lot more arid.
Yeah.
Because you're like constantly tilling it, and not to mention it's windy here, so it just kind of dries everything out. And so when it suddenly like rains a whole bunch, it's just like party time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I have a question.
Right.
What is what did he call it? What is rotated blocks?
So usually that has to do with slump, like a rotational slide. So this is like the hillside, and this is like a block here. This is like the front. And what will happen is layer by layer, usually, it'll kind of like rotate and fall.
Hold on, I want to see what you're doing. Sorry.
Okay. There you go. It'll like rotate and fall. So this is like the top of the ground. So, but it'll usually do that in like kind of stacks. So if you look up a picture just on Google of slump anatomy. Oh, okay. Don't look that up because it's just a bunch of baseball players. Slump.
Try adding
And-
geology or geography at the front. They might have a little bit more of what you're looking for.
Yeah. Geology. Sick. Okay, here it is. I will share this. Okay, do you see this here?
Oh yeah.
So this is like these are the rotated blocks. They call them slump blocks sometimes, but they're the rotated blocks. How they just like
Oh, okay. Thanks for explaining that. Because I was
Yeah,
like,
no problem.
when I looked at that, I was like, I'm not completely sure what that is. And then, but I don't think on mine that there's any sort of rotational block or anything.
Yeah, you'll only see that in slump.
Okay. Yeah, because that was something that he was like, what's this?
Mm.
And yeah, I think so I feel like the scarp is, when I look at it, I feel like I can see it pretty clearly. Here, I'll reshare my screen.
So we have, just letting you guys, we have 8.5 minutes left. But if you guys still need more
Okay.
time, you can just
Sure.
go on to the exact same latest one I just sent you. Because I just figured out today that's my personal meeting thing on Zoom. So you guys can always just like go onto that when we're supposed to meet.
Cool.
And I just have to open it.
Cool. Yeah.
Right.
Here, I'll let you go now.
Yeah. Oh, I also just found, okay, so there are like several locations along the highway. I just found like a second location that I could possibly use. It like goes and cut right in between like these valleys and whatnot, so like definitely have to use that area.
Good.
Oh. I don't have to look for a new location really, so there's that. So Aubrey, how do you want us to do it? So like we can send you the screenshots, or do you want us to like complete the work and then we could send it into Canvas?
Oh yeah, you could just send it to me over Canvas too. Or like either email or message on Canvas to me
Okay.
the screenshot with all the labels of
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
of your landslide, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
And then I can just copy and paste them into here. And if you guys just want to do that by tomorrow, like honestly as soon as possible, just because I don't want to like have to
No,
like quickly put everything together in the evening.
Right.
So yeah, just I don't have any plans for tomorrow, so you guys are fine.
I'm gonna try to figure it out tonight. So.
No worries.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have time today and want to just do it tomorrow, that's fine too.
Okay, sounds good.
Also,
Yeah.
does my hair look red right now to you guys? Like reddish?
A little
all?
bit like auburny. Like,
Yeah, I think it looks
auburn
auburn.
Cool. It's not, but that's cool. Just look cool lighting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No worries about that. Just whenever you get done tomorrow, just text me when you do send it to me.
Okay, sounds good. Take care.
I'll just throw it together. And I'll make up some stuff that we said about yours, Elisha. When I see it, I'll just like, oh yeah,
I'll
we
probably
made
write
these
it out in
comments.
the email and then send it to you too, because I was just
Okay,
like,
that'll work too. No worries. But I have stuff typed out for mine and Emily's, so you're good on that.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
Okay. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Adios. I'll try and get mine sent to you tonight because
Okay.
I'm going out of town tomorrow, so I'm gonna try and get it into you.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you guys take
Sweet.
care.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.